to Social Media 201, taking your social media to the next level. The presentation today is hosted by the City of Mississauga and presented to you by the Mississauga Business Enterprise Center. And what is the Mississauga Business Enterprise Center? We're also fondly known as MBEC, and we are that central source for small business supports, guidance, and information, and we're part of the Economic Development Office here at the city, specifically focused on supporting our small business owners. Everything you need to know about us is at mississauga.ca/MBEC. There's a link over that goes to another page where there's a vast amount of resources available, including some of the links to certain programs that we have offered, one of which is the Summer Company right now, and it's all about helping our youth from 15 to 29 get their business started, and it's run by our small business consultant, and you can find that over at that website, as well as a COVID relief portal with a lot of funds and information on how to support you during this crisis. There's resources to start your business. There are numerous other helpful tips and links. And if you can't find what you're looking for, just contact us and we will help direct you. We have a whole team there to support you. And some of our upcoming webinars are here. This is today's. We have how to film, edit, and use videos for social media success. We also have a free women's conference and 3 amazing speakers that are going to come to you live online, and hope you join us then. And we have a bunch more coming out. So if you haven't had a chance to join us on social, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please join us there. That's where a lot of our notifications will go on when we have events posted. We also have an email list. So just go to the bottom of the websites. thefuturesunlimited.ca is our core page, and you will find our links there. And these are some of our past recordings. If you missed us in the past, no worries, because it is there and recorded for you. We just posted up the how to write a digital marketing plan, and that's a key one. If you go there, you will have a whole thing, and that's a lot of what you'll see, our business scenario or our case scenario that we're going to walk you through. It actually is a continuation of what we presented during the digital marketing plan bootcamp. And there's also links to all of our other digital marketing sessions. So check that out for more information. And then we have Instagram. It is new for us. We really hope you guys will follow us. We have a call to action at the end, so stick around. We're at Mississauga EDO across all of our channels. And please today, if you could follow us, message us, give us ideas, share the stories, that would be wonderful. And here's our speakers today. Myself, the digital marketing consultant, I'll be leading the charge, but very much welcome the insights from my fellow speakers. Amanpreet Bains is our digital Main Street coordinator, as well as our small business coordinator here at the city, and part of our MBEC team, and also has a lot of experience in digital marketing, user experience, and she's going to speak to some key things and bring her insights to today's session. And Emily Watson, we welcome her. She's the creative director at Acorn Studio Marketing & Co. And I'll find all of us on LinkedIn, and her website is there as well. And she has a lot of expertise in the world of social media, branding, and graphic design. So we will welcome her insights along the way too. So we have a few things to cover today, and thank you everyone for joining us. So this is what it is we're going to cover the next couple hours. We're going to talk about setting the stage for social media, the importance of target audience and how to get to know your target audience, how to tell your brand story and the importance of that. And then we're going to get into that social media strategy, and that template that you're going to see today. You have access to one. It's a downloadable PDF that, if it's not in the link, we will be sending it out. If you are part of our replay audience, we will make sure that all the links are down below in the description area so you won't miss out as well. And the channel strategies that we're going to focus on today, which is part of this business scenario that we're going to show you, is LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And we're going to touch on Twitter, and we'll show you how that applies to this particular business, and then help you engage and grow your online community, measure success, give you some ideas on some planning tools and best practices to use, and then stick around because we have some bonus stuff at the end as well. So let's get started. The key equation today for great social media is audience plus branding plus strategy, and we're going to talk about why this is important and why it's that key equation that you need for social media success and help you take your social media to the next level. As we mentioned, we're going to use a scenario to help you guys understand how to build out a social media strategy and implement some engagement and online community tips using Garden Grows, our scenario business today. A little bit of background about this company is that it's a garden center and they have a digital marketing plan that they worked on. We talked about it in the digital marketing boot camp, and I'm happy to, the link is there if you guys want to go check that out. But they have a website. They've had Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. They've worked on a blog to share resources to their company, but they've been focused on a business to consumer client base in the past. They have a monthly newsletter, and they're going to build on all of that now. And they've also had a digital marketing social media manager, but they've also had an engaged employee base too. So that's setting the stage, a bit of a background on this company. And what they're doing now is they're going to expand into the business to business community. They've done their research, they realize that there's a gap and they want to fill it. They want to help build awareness. The social media strategy we're going to do is going to help them do that and to also get leads. And they're going to revisit their brand because they're not sure if it's going to be professional enough for this client base. And the primary channels that they're going to do is Facebook and Instagram, and they're going to add in LinkedIn. Twitter is there, and it always will be for them because it's important, but it is definitely going to be a secondary platform for them. They have some money that they're going to put behind this, not a lot, and always that budget, they're flexible in that area. So that is the company we're going to talk through. And hopefully also as we go through this, we will also be able to talk to some of the other businesses because we have a few other on the call, and feel free to ask questions along the way. So part of what we need to build out the social media strategy is that situational analysis, really understand why you're doing what you're doing, and then what are those business goals that you're going to support. So for them, they've defined that they want to increase their revenue by 20% from new business sales by December 31st, 2021. Quite specific, but this is going to help them stay focused and make sure that they're accountable and be able to measure success by doing this. So once we have that business goal, now we want to establish marketing goals. We have 3 key ones, and these are typical, not just for this organization, but this will be something you will probably stick to or be very close to your own business. Online brand awareness is key. This is new for this company, so now they have to focus on this new target audience, the business to business community. They've been providing resources all along for their business to consumer clients, and now they need to focus on providing resources for this new audience. And that's going to be key about plants in the workplace. They've defined that it's going to be about benefits, how to purchase, how to care for them, and things like that. So those are the kind of resources that marketing is going to aim to achieve. And then they also want to make sure they're getting qualified leads from social media. And the next one is, oh, I might have, yep. So now let's get specific. we're actually going to get into the objectives, which is more specific and timely. So based on that brand awareness, we're going to drive traffic to the website by X amount. We're going to get followers on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And if they're already there, we're going to increase them. And from nothing from LinkedIn, it's going to be increased as well. And then we also want them specifically to visit our store, and that's going to be some of our key performance indicators, our KPIs, which is outlined in the marketing objectives. Why this is important, doing this right at the beginning, because we want to achieve it. If we don't have this established right now, we won't be able to backtrack to see if we are successful. And then the next one is to provide resources. Blogs are key, so they want to make sure that they drive traffic, they get readership, and they get engagement as well on their social media for those specific types of blogs. And then we get into lead generation. They want to make sure that they're actually getting specific traffic to their office product pages, which they're going to be able to track through Google Analytics, which Amanpreet's going to talk about towards the end. We have 10 people per month social media activity requesting product information specifically about B2B products. And then we want to build that client base, those lead generations specifically from social. So social media has a lot of work to do, and that's why we have this social media strategy coming up. But before we move into target audiences, we want to make sure first, remember, we have to have our goals established. We have to know where we're going, and then we have to know who our audience is. And Amanpreet is going to take over in explaining why this is important and what we need to do.
All right. Thank you, Laura. All right. So we just heard from Laura that our business goals and what our marketing goals are. So Garden Grows wants to increase their revenue by 20% this year, along with increasing their brand awareness, providing resources for customers to learn about the value of having plants, and also getting qualified leads. But who exactly are our customers? And so getting to know your audience is super important to identify who we are speaking to and why. So in this case, these customers that we're reaching out to are not our typical day-to-day customers. In this particular scenario for Garden Grows, these customers are part of a new territory, and we don't know too much about them and who they really are at this point. So here I have listed some key questions to consider before we start to even think about planning for our social media strategies, let alone thinking of content, ads, or even channels to use. So for instance, if your target audience isn't even on social media, or perhaps they don't use a specific platform like LinkedIn or Facebook, you are now putting in effort and resources and your money into putting your business and your brand on somewhere that your audience is really not there. So our goal here today is to prevent that and to take the time to get to know our audience and who we are truly speaking to. So always best practice to do research on your audience, just like with anything else. So here are some of the questions that were listed are: who is our customer? Where does our product fit into their work or life? What problems does our product solve? When and how is our product used? And lastly, what features are important to the customer? And another important, Laura,
go back.
Yeah. And so another important consideration before we actually answer who our target audience is to really reflect on our own business products and services and question whether what we are offering is of need and to whom. And again, why is all of this important? And it's honestly because we often forget that we are not the customer. So even if this is your world and you use plants to reduce your own stress and anxiety and they are a form of therapy for yourself, is it applicable to anyone else? And if so, who exactly are those people? So these questions on this slide help determine just that and can guide you on what your brand story is about and also assist in communicating your business's value proposition. So I'll quickly touch on some of the answers we have for Garden Grows. So what do we believe our customers have a need for? So here we touched on health and wellness. That is our purpose. The needs that we identified that can be solved. So here we have solved this by our product, which are plants that we are offering. Our initial customers in this case are right now we've identified as being just business clients. Again, very broad. And the value our customers want to get from our product, and this speaks to the science behind the plants, which we know of. Our customers will also get these additional benefits, so things like therapy or perhaps starting a new hobby. And our primary competition in the market, so nurseries, Amazon, or Home Depot. So competition is just honestly places where people can buy plants, but it cycles back to what they can buy to reduce their stress and anxiety altogether. So this actually goes beyond plants, anything that a customer can buy in replace to solve their need. And because of this, we lastly ask, we will beat them due to, and here you can list what differentiates you from the rest of your competitors. All right, and so the next slide is, so I've listed here some resources for you to survey. So just like with anything, doing your research beforehand is super important. So, and it amplifies who it is that we are trying to target. So think of any direct feedback that you've heard. Conduct some social listening. So search up some relevant hashtags perhaps, and you'll get to see the types of posts that are made and by whom. Read through some reviews and ratings. So whether this is on your own website or channels or your competitors, perhaps you can start picking up on commonly asked questions and the problems that need to be solved. So are people constantly asking for instructions for their plants? Are they wanting low maintenance plans? Or maybe they want to make their own. Can garden grows customize to meet their needs? Also conduct some market research. So look for trends and patterns in the world and bring that into your investigation. Look into industry reports and white papers. And lastly, tie all of this in with your analytics reports. So take a look at your own website for starters. Are there new people visiting? What's their activity like? What keywords are being searched? And what do you do now with all of the research that you've gathered? And then ask yourself, is there a commonality amongst all of this and who we have sought out to research? So at this point, in the next slide here, we've given some thought about what we're offering and the needs that we are solving, and we've done some research on our audience. So who is all of this for? And if you remember, we started by saying in general that our customers are business clients, but we actually hadn't identified a target audience. So, who will, I guess, directly receive our key messages and otherwise known as our primary audience. And in this case, we have identified them to be our stressed out millennials. So Garden Grows still keeps business clients such as their CEOs, directors, partners, whoever, business managers as your secondary audience, because these are people who may have some interest in our key messaging, but the employees, these stressed out millennials, are truly who we are trying to reach. So now we can answer the questions that we had initially proposed in terms of who our customers are, and we can frame these better with our business assumptions that we made as well. And so from here, we can also now develop or complete our customer persona. Super important document that I encourage everyone to develop, especially if you have a team, because this helps to align everyone's thoughts and assumptions on your target audience. Usually this is a hypothetical person and not a real person. This is also not your average user, but more so of a representative of the patterns, behaviors, and attributes and motivations that you've found. So here, our customer persona, who we are using to guide our design of our products, channels, and our messaging, as well as our social media strategies, is Julie. So Julie is a 27-year-old financial analyst. She is single, likes to work out, hike, drink coffee, and is a pretty chill, introverted, adventurous individual. The more qualities and attributes that you honestly add to Julie's story, the more real and helpful this will become in developing your social media strategies so that we can align it to her. Also, part of the customer persona is the needs, obstacles, and desires. So here we've identified Julie's needs to be a workspace that is functional, and she needs to complete her work, her assigned work and projects. Her obstacles to accomplish her needs and desires are that she has a busy work life and social life, there's time restrictions, and she's just honestly also unable to stay focused at all times. Julie's desires, on the other hand, are for a workplace that allows her to work efficiently, and she wants to be able to manage her stress and anxiety because of everything that she has going on. So what we have done now is put together some preliminary information that so that we have a better sense of who we are speaking to and targeting. And now you can also do some follow-up with some primary research, do some interviews, and talk to real people to actually make this customer persona to be more rich. So on the next slide, we have, along with our many other handouts, we will also be providing a template that you can use to keep track of some of those attributes for your target audiences. So you can, in fact, have multiple customer personas for your business that slightly differ but still fall within your primary target audience. And this gets into segmenting and your target audience on a more granular level, but I will stop here in terms of the initial steps that are needed to develop, especially your customer persona, to get you started. And I'll wrap it up with some of our some key takeaways. So please remember to revisit your customer personas on a routine basis once you have developed it. Just like we evolve, our needs change, our wants change, and our desires change. And that is no different from Julie. So Julie will continue to evolve, and Garden Grows has to remember to evolve with her. Otherwise, we've seen in real life examples where companies who aren't able to keep up with their customer needs, it can turn downhill quick, or you can lose out on business to your competitors. Also use your persona in your daily work. This is best practice. Refer to your customer and make them as real as possible. And lastly, again, I would just encourage everyone to try this exercise out. And if you haven't already, develop your customer personas. Keep yourself and your team aligned, and this will help when you are creating your social media strategies.
Great. Thanks, Amin. Really important, a lot of information. Take that as a scenario and define it for your own. So next step that we have in that equation is that brand story. Answering these questions will help you get started, at least in the brainstorming aspect. Who are you? What do you provide? Why are you in business? When are you going to sell? What are those key dates? Where do you sell? Is it international? Is it online? Is it a retail location? And then how are you going to get it done? So understanding your brand will help you define who your target audience is and to implement your social media strategy. And now once you have that, Emily's going to walk through what that brand storytelling looks like for Garden Grows and how you potentially could develop something similar for your organization.
Thank you, Laura. So Garden Grows, this was the original branding design. It was very simple, very light, friendly, very welcoming, very small town. But as Amanpreet mentioned, our audience is growing and we want to reach new people, more professional people, like the stressed out millennials and people that are working in offices. So it's you don't always have to go through a rebrand, but because that our audience has changed so much, we decided to change it up a little bit. So on the next slide, this is our new brand. So it still keeps a very similar vibe. The logo has changed a little bit along with the typography just to meet that new target audience, a little bit more professional. It's modern, still keeping it super simple and friendly, but it does introduce a little bit more of a timeless design. As well as the color palette, we still kept that green, but made it a little bit more versatile for our branding options, so we can go forward with that. Then getting into the social media aspect of our new brand. So with a rebrand, we're gonna improve our social media strategy a little bit. So the three main platforms that we are going to use is Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We are going to touch on Twitter a little bit, but it's going to be more of a secondary platform. So these are going to be our three main platforms that we focus on. Our topic pillars. So topic pillars are essentially the things that you are going to talk about in social media. It's always recommended to have about 4 or 5. This way it helps you keep on track with what kind of content you're going to share with your audience. So yes, so the next slide here. So our content pillars are education, promotion, showcase, testimonials, and local promotion. So when you finally figure out what these content pillars are, then you can create little subcategories underneath. Again, this helps you stay on track with what kind of content to post, and it's going to make the thinking process a lot easier. So for example, in education, we're gonna showcase our industry knowledge on gardens and the impact on plants. We're going to show statistics, some research about us, about the plants, some tips, and then some how-to tutorials as well.
Is that good, Em, or did we lose you?
Yeah. Keep
okay.
going.
The next one is this one. So you're all good? Okay. Excellent. Those topic pillars are really important. Just keep those in mind for your own business because they, as Emily mentioned, are similar for so many industries. So social media planning guide, this is part of the template that you guys have available to you, and it is in a PDF form. Kind of fun. Just remember that this checklist is at the beginning. There's a lot of information that will help you take this social media to the next level. So often when we first get started, it's just random, right? It's just you're trying to figure it out. You're not sure what you want to do. But this is the time to step back and make sure we have all of our information available and it all follows through from business plan all the way through to making sure your website is launched. You have your brand guidebook, which is similar to what Emily just showed, and you have your target audiences. So we're going to walk through this social media plan and we're going to put and layer on top Garden Grow's information and then walk you through those channels. All of this document is it's taking all those information from before and putting it in one central place with easy access. The difference here is your SWOT. I really do encourage you all to do this from a marketing perspective, just to revisit where you are, especially even a potential threat we've identified here is COVID, which is a current crisis. People are now working from home. Businesses are reopening. We're not sure what that looks like, so we need to be aware of that as well. But there's a gap in the market. That's your opportunity. Weakness is they're not familiar with B2B, but the strength is that they're an established business. So take the time to put down your SWOT there. And then the next one is the marketing goals. We're going to take that business goal, we're going to move down into marketing goals and take all of that information we have previously, put it down here. Emily mentioned those content pillars. We have that target audience there, and we've even defined our marketing budget. And now we have a social media channel strategy. We're not going to talk too much here because you're going to find out what this is on each of the platforms we're going to talk about. You're going to duplicate it for each channel because each platform requires its own strategy. The audience may be slightly different. Hashtags might be similar, but you need to do a research on each channel to make sure that it makes sense for that particular channel. The goals for that channel might be different. And you're going to see that as we move forward in the example. There's different features. You're not going to be able to use every single feature provided on every single platform. For one thing, it may not make sense for your business. Another thing is just you would have to have a ton of time. So you want to make sure that you've identified what is the right features that you're going to be using for that particular platform that makes sense for your strategy. Who's going to manage it? How are you going to report on it? Is there any governance required? If you have a team, if you've outsourced to a social media manager, what's that going to look like? And how are you going to manage even developing the content? What are the type of posts that you want to do, and best time of day? There's a lot of research out there that will tell you what the best times of day to post, but they're general. The best research is getting in there, learning it, figuring out it, looking at the insights and developing that, and then put it down here so you have eyes on it. And then are you going to do advertising? How often are you going to do it, and what is your budget? And then the next is that content plan. So social media in and of itself, we're going to give you some ideas on engagement and things you can do within the platform, but it has to be driven from the larger content, those macro pieces of content, and that you can build them out, take them apart, repurpose them for social media. And this just gives you a snapshot of those core things that are going to take time to develop. We've identified a blog is key, live Facebook video we're going to do, and then an Instagram contest, which totally makes sense for a gardening company. And contests have proven to work on certain platforms. Instagram, we've identified that we have the resources and time to do that. And this is how we're going to distribute it down below. And then are we going to do any payments? We've decided that $100 a month we're going to do to promote the Instagram contest. This just helps you consolidate, helps you manage. If you can keep things planned, whether you use this document or others, it will keep you focused and be able to get a return on investment for your time on social. Key dates are another thing to make sure you put down. And key dates are those business dates. They drive your marketing because marketing supports your business. Remember, marketing and sales have to work together. So this organization, it's very seasonal, but maybe your organization is not seasonal. Maybe though there's a time, budgets are always due maybe at the end of March, and you want to make sure you have things done. We have a lot of professional services here. And so budget-driven timelines might be more appropriate. If there's a time when people go up to cottages, if you're a cottage-focused organization, if you're an e-commerce business or retail, and we have a lot of retailers here, maybe it's around that holiday season, that Black Friday, whatever that campaign you want to focus on. Put those key dates here. Marketing is how are you going to promote it? What are those key milestone dates, things that you're going to do? And then what are some of those other things that support that? For the first day of spring, farmers market opens. That makes sense for April. First day of summer is in July for this company. First day of fall, make sure you bring your plants inside, right? So April is about going outside to garden, plant inside. And so this helps you stay focused and on track. And then this is more fine-tuned. It's your marketing calendar. These are the kinds of posts that you're probably going to do it on social. If you decide, I know Emily does Marketing Monday, right? For your marketing hashtag Monday, every Monday, which does really well. And you can get on to some trends. Sustainability tips for this organization absolutely makes sense. If you're going to promote a weekend sale, it's just about putting it down there. Keep it monthly. I recommend at least 3 months having done in advance, and then you can always revisit it after that. And then the monthly results you have to measure and track. These are some of the key ones. They are not an exhaustive list. You have to do what works best for you. They are your typical ones, so you can start here if you're not used to it. Make sure you track every month. I mean, I use an Excel spreadsheet. You might like to use this. It's really important that you don't micromanage this data though, but you watch trends. And that's why it's important to every month go in and regularly put it in so you can see the trends. And we do have a glossary of terms that is included in your handout. So if you're not sure what reach is, impressions, number of posts is pretty standard, but you'll see ROAS a lot, like it's a return on ad spend. Pretty much that's your return on investment and how much you spend. And there is a calculation that I've included it as well. All right, we're getting into channel strategies. And we will take questions at the end. If you do have questions along the way, put them in. If we can answer them, we will along the way. So channel strategies, we have LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We're each going to take one of them for you. Twitter's at the end, and we mentioned it's secondary, but we're going to put a sheet in there for strategy just so that you have it. Let's get started. LinkedIn, social media, it's a new platform. So who are we going to focus on? Stressed out millennials. They may not be the most popular crowd on LinkedIn right now, but they're the ones that we want to target. So they're still our primary, but business owners and managers are there too. So we don't want to forget about them on this channel. We've set how many followers we want, how much engagement, how many people to click the profile click. That's another key metric that we're going to use on this one. The features, we don't have as much time. We're going to spend a lot of time on Instagram and Facebook, but so we're going to focus on the post itself, doing graphics, photos, and videos. We have found some hashtags that are popular out on LinkedIn, and then the type of content is going to be very similar to the other channels too. And we have found out that noon is the best time on LinkedIn just remember this is a scenario. You will need to find out what the best time is for yours. How are we going to manage this? The most important thing is we're going to look at LinkedIn Insights. We're also going to leverage Google Analytics too to see the traffic coming, the social referrals from LinkedIn. There's also a way through LinkedIn about employee advocacy program. And so we're going to make sure that we leverage that advocacy program. It is relatively new, but we want to do that. And then we're going to use Asana and Hootsuite for scheduling. And that's it. So now we get to talk to you a little bit more about how we're going to roll this out so you can get some tips for your organization as well. First and foremost, please, everyone, create a company page for your business. Even if you decide that your company isn't going to use LinkedIn a lot, once you have that company page, you don't have to update it as often. So LinkedIn company page we created for Garden Grows. We have a nice feeling. It goes with Emily's, that brand strategy with a bunch of plants. It's showing a vertical wall, which is potentially one of our clients. Maybe we went in and did a design for them. Our logo is there. Our logo fits nicely in that square. It doesn't bleed off the end. Please make sure that you have that and it fits in properly. And then fill it all out. It's not hard. You do need to have yourself or someone within the organization with a company email to actually create the company page. Once you do that, if you do have a social media manager helping you with this, you can give them administrative rights afterwards and they'll manage it through their account. What are the key features to think about? Well, we mentioned posting. We're going to do a whole bunch of multimedia, even long form article blogs. And there's some other things too to keep in mind with LinkedIn that might work for your organization. Live events is increasing in popularity. Career posting, it's not marketing, but it's another reason that you might leverage LinkedIn if you're looking for employees. Groups continue to grow. I can't remember how many million groups that they have, but there's a lot out there. And it is a professional platform, so we do have to remember that the content here and the voice of the messaging is professional. Showcase, and we're going to use product pages because it's new and it makes sense for this organization. And I'll talk about advertising as well. So what's the difference between showcase pages and product pages? Showcase is kind of mid-funnel content. If you have a large organization or you're part of a large organization, you may develop showcase pages within that. It's usually business departments structured higher level. Product pages is new. It's not available to everyone yet, but if you have it and it makes sense, I would have a look and try that. You just have to Google LinkedIn product pages and they have a great download guide. And what it does is it lets you focus on specific types of products, put in videos, how-tos, and even have your customers review the products. Something worth looking into. And then how do we post? Just a reminder that there's a lot of options when you post, so get creative. Add in your hashtags, create a poll, offer help, share that you're hiring if that makes sense, and then send it out to your employees and get them to share and leverage their network and their insights. Create that advocacy program. This is somewhere where you may want to have a governance document if you're going to do that for LinkedIn. But there's a lot of opportunities there for any organization, including ours today. And here's some examples of some posts. As we mentioned, we're going to talk about different products, the how-tos, even some stats, and we're going to showcase, this was borrowed, the credit is down below, borrowed from someone else that could be a potential client for this organization. And showcasing clients is really important, especially on LinkedIn, this platform. And if you want more engagement tips and some insights from LinkedIn, LinkedIn does have a download about getting started on your company page and even how frequently to post. And if you want to do advertising, I wouldn't recommend it for this organization. The cost to do this is much higher to get the return on investment. Instagram and Facebook makes more sense for this organization. But just know if you want to look into the sponsored messages, dynamic ads, there's a whole bunch of information on how to get started on LinkedIn. And make sure you measure your campaigns. This is an example of how you can track your metrics once you do it. And then the ongoing insights. Once you have a company page, all of this is free. You're going to see the visitors, how many you get, their kind of activity when it happens, how many page views, even what position that they're in. And then you're going to see how your updates are doing. Updates are your posts. So when you do that, you're going to see who's clicking on what, how often, and this is where that trend comes in. It's like, wow, during this time of day, they really want to see product. I'm going to make sure that I put my product posts out this time of day. And that's all about the trying, the learning, and adapting. And insights are important, and followers. And you can change the timeline based on what works for you as far as measuring your analytics. That is LinkedIn. So now let's move to Facebook. It's all yours, Amanpreet.
Thanks, Laura. All right. So here we have our social media strategy for Facebook, more or less similar to what we had on LinkedIn, but I did want to point out a couple of key differences. So in particular here, the features to use would be our Facebook shops to showcase our products, and also use Facebook Live to connect with our audiences in real time. As well, I have more of a focus on ads on Facebook. I will use Facebook Business Suite to post and use Ads Manager to track metrics for my campaign performance. And if we go into the next slide, so why is Garden Grow still using Facebook? So Facebook is still your professional platform, and it's the most used platform in the world with almost 3 billion users. And our target audience, Julie, fits into their largest demographic, which is 25 to 34. There's an opportunity for you to use a variety of their features, such as the business pages, their Facebook groups, and also their Facebook shops and Facebook Messenger, which is unique. So Facebook business pages serve the same purpose as your personal profile, but it's for your business. So it's your official Facebook identity for your business updates and your practical information. And you can also collect things like your audience analytics on here, add call to actions and everything. Facebook ads is probably so this is the bread and butter of Facebook's profits, I would say. There's a lot of information and guides that if you take advantage of what Facebook offers, you can reach and engage a lot with your audience on Facebook. A lot of events, again, a great benefit that you can make that personal connection. And Facebook groups is also very strategic to use in some cases. So you do get to create a very inclusive group, perhaps use it to engage and build relationships. And it's also a place to start discussions and learn more. And ultimately, you get exclusive knowledge by being in a Facebook group. So the difference between a Facebook group is that it's more of a two-way stream and more conversational, whereas a Facebook page is more so one-way. And then lastly, the Facebook Messenger gives the ability to chat with your customers, and this feature in itself is very powerful as well. So next we'll move on to our Facebook business page. So on the left, you'll see that we have created this for Garden Grows. This is, again, their official Facebook identity where they can post about their business updates and any practical information. You'll also see here that they have a View Shop button because they have added in Facebook shops. And on the right is an example of how your shop can look like. So we have our products displayed. And then within Facebook as well, all of our prices are listed. So our target audience, Julie, for instance, can come in, select directly on Facebook what she liked, click on it to purchase, and then on the spot, she can do that without having to go to a website to navigate or find out where it is anywhere else. So again, super powerful to increase your sales. And again, it goes back to meeting Garden Grow's their business goal to increase revenue by 20%. And a couple of notes on our content and engagement. So our goal here is really to engage with our target audience. So tell stories. This is what people remember. Tell the stories of your product through your customers even. So leverage that user-generated content on your own feed so that you're not the only one telling the story. It's being told from others as well. Post at the right time to build engagement, and you can take a look through your Facebook insights to see when you're getting the most. Ask questions, so post a right question to start discussions. Also look at anything that's trending to stay relevant. Tell stories again, how your business came to be, You know, how did Garden Grows originate, or maybe how did it get its name? Video is also, again, very powerful. You can maybe do some behind the scenes work. Maybe you're showing them how you package your plants, or maybe it's more informational. And lastly, you can put on a live event. So Garden Grows, in this case, can put on a live event. Maybe they're bringing in a guest and interviewing them. And this can even go on beyond the benefits of you know, providing them information on how to take care of plants. Maybe it's just health and wellness in general for a stressed out millennial. So it's still of something significant value that you are providing to the followers and your audience on Facebook. Next, some ideas. You can showcase your products. So again, make them relatable. If they are in your, you know, you can show pictures of your products being in the workplace. Use infographics if you have stats or research to share. This is a good appealing method. And then lastly, you can also touch on or do discounts and sales. So you can have flash sales that go on, and you can also offer discounts for your followers only. So it's a great way to for you to reward people that have liked your Facebook page. And now we'll get into advertising on Facebook, which is, again, huge. It works really well for businesses. You do have the ability to narrow down your target audience, set the budget for your campaign, and even do some A/B testing with your ads, test out what's working better than others. With this, so Facebook does offer, they have 11 marketing objectives. So before you start your campaign, you'll see a list to select from, and this can be anywhere from engagement if you would like to reach a more wider audience, or maybe your objective here is to get more video views or just drive traffic to your website. So they do have a selection of different objectives that are available before you start your campaign. And next, I'll just show some quick Facebook advertising examples. So I have here first messenger ads. So these ads appear on your feed as a standard display, but the goal here is to start a conversation with your customer. So you can see the call to action. It says send message. So when they click on that and ad, it will translate into their chat feature instead. Versus next, we have the collections ad. This is usually, it appears more so often on your mobile devices. And it's pretty easy to select and very powerful because you get to put on about 4 to 5 product images. And it's a convenient way because your customers can browse and purchase products from their mobile device without having to click off. So this essentially turns into a full landing page. And then lastly, I mentioned dynamic ads that appear in your Facebook feed. And this will allow Garden Grows to automatically promote products to people who have already expressed interest, either through their website or anywhere else on the internet. And here the call to action is to learn more because they are writing about major plant trends. And last, but super important for any platform, is to make sure you are tracking and evaluating your efforts. So this screenshot is in particular of the main insights dashboard, where you will see information about trends, posts, and your audience. So you'll get to see the most recent posts, the types of actions that have been taking place on your page, age, gender, all of that. And if you click on the post, for instance, you can even sort it out based on metrics. So you can filter through reach, type of post, date published, reach engagement, and everything. And then in addition, you can also use Facebook Ads Manager, which is focused on creating and managing the performance of your Facebook campaigns. And I will pass it off to Emily to do Instagram next.
Yeah, just before we move into Instagram, Amin, thank you for that. And I want to step back. It's sometimes when we think of each channel having its own strategy, it seems like there's extra work for each channel, but they don't go in isolation. So that's why we have to make sure we think of the content first. So you are pulling from usually the same large content, and then there will be smaller individual posts for each specific platform. But if you, for instance, had you wanted to do a promotion for plants, or you wanted to do, say you're going to educate about how to take care of plants, you might actually be able to take a similar video, or it'll have the same picture, but the messaging might be slightly different. So if LinkedIn is going to be more of, it's a more professional platform, hashtags might be slightly different. So the caption might change, but you don't have to go and create a whole unique piece of content just for that post, and then a unique content just for Facebook, and then for Instagram. So it's not meant to be in isolation, but part of a trickle down effect from your large content. And then you build out those micro posts to promote engagement specifically for that channel. And when we talk about the tools at the end, we're going to give you some ideas on how you can manage that so you aren't overwhelmed having more than one platform. And one of the questions was, what are the key metrics to track? Like, what are the most popular? And it really goes back to what's your goals for this platform. So for LinkedIn, we really want to get followers just to share potentially our client stories in that. So we want to make sure we reach as many people, but we really want to drive traffic possibly back to the website. So profile clicks will be important. Here on Facebook, maybe it's more engagement. So it's reach, it's impressions, and actually engagement within that post. So make sure you know what that goal is overall for your organization, for business marketing, and then specifically for that channel, and then figure out what are those metrics that make the most sense. And so Emily, it's all yours for Instagram.
Perfect. Moving into Instagram. So Instagram is the second most used social media platform right underneath Facebook, and it's not far off, but it definitely has a different type of target audience, and it produces different types of content. So with our Instagram page for Garden Grows, our main target audience is going to be those working, stressed out millennials, and getting into Gen X, and also having a secondary target audience of college students, because eventually they will get into that work field. And then our goal for Instagram is going to be a 1.5 follower growth per month. That's a pretty average growth rate, especially when you're starting out. And then our engagement rate is going to be 3% per post. 3% again is also a very average goal for engagement rate. So engagement rate is, there is a mathematical equation, but it basically takes the amount of followers that you have on your Instagram page, and it figures out how many of those people are actually engaging with your post. So overall, like, our goal is to have people engage with our content. Some key features for Instagram that we are going to utilize is Instagram Reels, Instagram Live, and polls and questionnaires. So this is where we're going to really get people involved with our Instagram stories. How we are going to manage our Instagram content and our scheduling is by using Plan. So we will talk a little bit about Plan later on in the slides, but it is a scheduling program that I use very frequently. It's great. There are other scheduling platforms out there, but this is the one that we have decided to use. Going into hashtags, I know there was a question on which hashtags to know to use. This does take some research. You will have, there are a couple ways that you can figure out which hashtags are best for you. One of the two ways that I've done it, there are free platforms or like free websites, and you can kind of, it's almost like you're Googling keywords, and then it will produce hashtags and it'll tell you how often they're used. Another way to figure out what key hashtags might work for you is doing your research actually on the app. Now you can go about this in a couple ways. You can find someone that you were almost like in competition with, see what hashtags they're using, what hashtags might be effective, or you can actually search hashtags. So for example, if I searched Garden Grows in the search option in Instagram, it will tell me exactly how many people have used that hashtag. Now, when somebody uses, if say that hashtag has over 1 million views and 1 million people have used this hashtags on 1 million posts, the likelihood of you getting noticed when people are following that hashtag is very slim. I always recommend to use almost like a handful of different types of hashtags. So maybe use some that are super popular. Maybe use some that only have like 3 to 10,000 posts used, and then maybe a couple that are very unique to your business. This gives you a really awesome way for people to showcase content and another way for people to tag you in their content. For our posting, we have decided to post 3 to 4 times a week. We don't want to post every single day just because we are utilizing other platforms, and we think 3 to 4 times a week gives us a good opportunity to still manage our Instagram platform, but also have time to spend with our business and with our customers. We also have decided to post 2 to 10 stories a day. Now, this is a very quick interaction. This will involve sharing of posts, sharing other people's content, user-generated content, also our weekly polls and questionnaires. And then we did a little bit of research and we noticed that our audience is online from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, as we consistently start posting, we build it up a little bit more, our time is going to get a little bit more specific. But this is kind of like the range that we have figured out with our research. And then we have put aside $100 a month to promote any of our organic content. And then we've decided that if we are going to promote our content, it's going to be for about 4 weeks. So then moving on to the next slide. So some key features that we are going to utilize in Instagram, like I mentioned before, is IGTV, stories and lives, and reels. So IGTV is really great. It's almost like a YouTube platform inside of IGTV. So depending on the level of followers that you have on Instagram will actually dictate on how long your videos can be. So IGTV, it has to be more than a minute. But then if you have, I believe, 10,000 followers or more, you can actually have a video up to over an hour, which is really cool. You have the opportunity to create series of videos, which is great. And it's a great resource for your audience. And then our stories and our lives. So this is going to be our stories are going to be a very fast interaction. Again, we're going to really showcase user-generated content, and we're going to do weekly polls and all that kind of stuff. And then we are going to go live once a month. Now, this could be interviewing someone. This could be a tour of our shop, anything. But we have decided that a live is going to be something we are going to generate once a month. Instagram Reels, now a new feature on Instagram. It's awesome. It's really cool. Now this is a Instagram ruled this out because TikTok has been generating a lot of amazing content. So this is a feature very similar to IGTV, but you can only create videos for up to 30 seconds. So this is a great way for that audience that you have that does have that lower attention span. It forces you to get right to the point right away. Now, because this is a very new feature, it still doesn't have any Instagram analytics. So this is your time to get on it right now. I have played around with Reels and the outcome is absolutely amazing. Because it's a brand new feature, everybody's on it and they are pushing out all organic content. So moving on to the next slide. So with our content and engagement, so we have put together almost a mock-up grid of what our brand is going to look like. This is a great way to get started. We used Canva to kind of figure out what templates we want to use, playing around with how we want to introduce our brand and build that brand awareness. So we're really showcasing the colors that we have in our brand while throwing in our logo, but keeping it super simple. We have a lot of fun pictures, fun images. We wanted to create something that really draws attention to our audience. So when people land on our page and they take one look at it, they're like, wow, this is great. This is what I want to look at every single day. Instagram is a very visual platform, so you need to make sure that the content that you produce is very visually appealing. Yes, so with our feed, we're going to share images, we're going to share video content, we're going to utilize our content pillars. So the educational, promotional, all that kind of stuff. And all of that is going to be planned out. We're going to prioritize visual content with short text and really get to the point. And we're going to draw people to the link in our bio to hopefully land on our website, which will, in the end, do sales. Our reels are going to be 15 to 30-second videos, and we're going to create series of unique videos. This will be fun for people to look at if they want to know what the inside of our shop looks like, or if they want to know things that our staff are saying, or if they want to know certain things that our customers are saying, little tutorials, everything like that. So then moving on to the next slide. So different ways of Instagram advertising. So like I touched on briefly at the very beginning, there are two ways to go about promoting on Instagram. You can promote through Facebook because Facebook and Instagram are sister platforms. By doing this, you have the opportunity to promote your content on Facebook, and then that transfers over to Instagram for no extra cost. Now you're killing kind of two birds with one stone, and only paying for one advertisement. Then there is the opportunity to promote through Instagram. This is a great thing to do if you have a post that you have put out that is doing really, really well organically, and you want to put a little bit of money into it. It is super easy. All you have to do is hit the promote button, and it walks you through step by step on the key information that you need to put in. So location, target audience, all of that. And I have noticed in my experience, if you are posting through Instagram, you do have a chance of getting a faster approval. Whereas Facebook, the security stuff is a little bit more intense, and you do run sometimes a higher risk of not getting approved. So then moving on to the next slide. So some key metrics and measuring success. So I do want to dive into this a little bit more into detail because this platform is different from, for example, LinkedIn and Facebook. Instagram is a very simple platform, and it wants to keep it very simple in all ways, from posting to creating videos to actually tracking your metrics. So the four main metrics for any post is likes, comments, shares, and saves. So likes is basically the amount of people that have double tapped on your image to like the image. Comments are people that are actually physically commenting underneath the post. Shares are people that click the little another person via direct message, or this could be a share to their story. And then a save is one of the most important ones. So this is people that have taken interest into your post to the point where they actually want to save your content into one of their collections. Essentially, Instagram wants to keep viewers on the app for as long as possible. So the more time they spend on your post and the more interest that they're putting into your post, the better. The best forms of engagement are the ones that show the higher levels of interest. So shares, saves, and very engaging comments are high levels of interest. Engaging comments are essentially people that are not just leaving an emoji on your comment, but comments that continue a conversation. This is like when you're double tapping on an image, it's super simple. It does definitely a higher level of priority when you're looking at the algorithm, as opposed to comments, shares, and saves. That is a higher level of interest. Yes, and there are ways to keep track of your comments in your insights. So again, Instagram is super simple. You can actually, if you are on your post, each post will prompt you to quickly view the insights of that post, or you can kind of, if you wanted to go over to your profile, you can view your overall insights as well. Yes.
Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about the measuring success? And I know we'll mention this in plan. but sometimes Plan That and how you've used Plan That, Facebook Business Suite, and the native app. Is there a reason you would go one way or the other? Like, where would you look for these insights? What would be your recommendation?
Um, I use Instagram a lot. If I wanted to know exactly if I'm trying a certain post, like if I posted something a couple days ago and I really want to know exactly what that post, what's going on with that specific post, I will go on the app and I will check the insights out specifically for that post. But again, because Instagram is a very simple platform, the metrics and the success rate that it gives you on the app is also very simple. So I use Plan That to essentially look at the bigger picture. It gives me a little bit more specific insights, and honestly, I just kind of like the way it looks. It gives me more opportunity to look at my growth over a lifetime, my growth over the past 6 months, 3 months, the week, or even the day. Whereas Instagram doesn't give you all of those options. I believe the max is 30 days. And Plan is really cool, and we'll go into a little bit more in the end, but tells you what posts have been performing the best, what hashtags have been performing the best. If you are if you're changing up your color palette, it'll tell you what colors of posts are responding the best, when exactly people are communicating with you and engaging in your posts at what time, where they're from. There's just a little bit more detail in their analytics than the actual on-app Instagram.
Okay, and we have a bunch of questions about hashtags, and we're going to save that for the conversation at the end because they're coming in quite a bit. And that is one place that I know we all are challenged with and can find any insights from you and Amanpreet as well, and we can have that discussion at the end. So thank you for those questions. Any more, please send them through. Thanks, Emily, for Instagram. That's a big one for us for sure. Twitter, we mentioned that it's just going to be secondary. It wasn't a huge platform. This company has had it for a long time. So kind of putting it into status quo and going to use it to reshare content, but not spend a lot of time engaging in it. And what we're going to use, and we copied and pasted, and look at that. I would have to change that out. So the LinkedIn, not use the LinkedIn monthly report, but Twitter. But we're going to focus on that key primary audience. Going to spend some time looking at hashtags organically in this platform, because as much as there's hashtags may be consistent, maybe you've created your own hashtag, which Garden Grows will use it consistently across all of our channels. There's going to be different hashtags based on the conversations on that channel, and we'll have to spend some time looking at that. And definitely no advertising for Twitter. It doesn't mean that this won't change. And this is, as we develop this strategy, at 3 months down the road, you might go, wow, Twitter's totally developed and moving another way. LinkedIn is now in maintenance mode. Maybe we shift. You don't want to shift your strategy quickly. You want to just, but you want to have those key milestones. You may shift your content quickly, and that's the kind of things you want to update all the time. But your strategy is something you'll probably revisit every 6 months or a year, because it does take a commitment to a channel. But you'll have to work with what works best for your organization. So as we mentioned, we're going to do planning tools and tips because it's a lot of work to do social media, especially as you ramp it up. And you want to stay efficient and organized and make sure you get that return on investment. And there is a ton of tools out there, including Canva, which we didn't include here, but that Emily mentioned for creating that content. It's a great platform for doing graphics. We have a whole webinar on that. You just have to head on over to our website and learn about that too. So let's get into social media calendar. What this is really just an example. And it is something you might want to do once a year and update it. But those fun holidays, social things, For this organization, probably Earth Day is going to be an important one. Employee Recognition Day, I think, is one. All of those things that make sense. Spend some time during your planning session to go through, put it on a calendar because you don't want to miss it. And you know how you all of a sudden realize, oh, I didn't do that key event that everyone's on and I should have been jumping on the trend because you hadn't planned it. So make this social media calendar work for you, and then you can move it over from one year to the next and just update it as needed. And then an editorial calendar or a content calendar, whatever you want to call it, is that key thing where you organize all your content. You can do it on a spreadsheet. This is a free resource that you make it your own, and each tab has something different. You can put your analytics in here. You can put information about your target audience. You can do your high-level scheduling to make sure it makes sense. If you're going to do a blog once a month, what is that contest test? I'm going to send it out. In June, we're going to talk about this is our key topic for the month. It's just to keep you organized. And then if you're not a spreadsheet person and you want to actually get into a collaborative tool, or you have a team, Asana is one that actually all three of us have used for different reasons, and we use it here at the city and in our department, and it helps us plan the content. It has a good freemium app. There are paid versions, and you can have a calendar view, you can have a task view, you can have multiple projects at one time. And then what you can create is if you have an event, like for instance, if they're going to do your contest, right, for this organization's Garden Grows, they're going to plan out their content on, or their contest, all the things, including administration, follow-up reporting in a project, and then you can tag another project, which might be your content calendar, and then you can create all your channel projects and you can tag them there too. So there's a way to make sure that you stay organized. You can allocate the task to a specific person. There is a chat function in there, so you can let them know. If you're using Canva, you can drop the content right in there, and then you can create captions in the description. Whatever works for you. This is just one tool that has that we have been able to use. And then when it comes to actually scheduling, Hootsuite is one that we have used. It does have a freemium version, but the paid version does a lot more. It would have to make sense for your budget. But now that Instagram allows you to schedule outright, you can actually post on here in a calendar and schedule to directly to your platforms, and including Instagram now. I do believe they've connected it. And you can track, there's a way to track insights right here. You can advertise through this platform. You can actually watch the engagement. So it keeps it centralized. And part of what these tools are, it's not just to plan your content, but to monitor, measure, respond, and it's just one login. And it allows you to build out your team and even have approvals. If you have the paid version, you can get your team to build out. If maybe you have an intern or somebody just starting and you want to have eyes on it because you're overseeing the brand, they can post it all up there and then you can approve it before it gets published. And then Facebook Business Suite. I'm going to let Amin and Emily talk to that. Amin, if you want to speak to that first. Anything you guys want to?
Yeah, so I will say Facebook Business Suite does look different for everyone when you go in. Some of you may have it, some of you may not, but this is a newer sort of a newer platform, or not platform, but the Business Suite is trying to replace the Business Manager on Facebook. So here you can, it's kind of like your central hub for everything that's going on, including anything to do with Instagram as well as Facebook posts. So here you can manage pretty much all of your engagement that's incoming as well. So if anyone has messaged you, your inbox, any kind of inquiries that have come in, it can all sort of be handled within that one central place.
Yeah, Facebook Business Suite is great, especially if you want to easily toggle back and forth between Facebook and Instagram while managing your direct messages, as Amanpreet mentioned. Facebook Business Suite does allow you to also schedule your Instagram posts and your Facebook posts at the same time, if you really want to focus on building out those strategies at the same time. It also allows you to view your Facebook feed and your Instagram feed side by side. It also gives you a calendar view as well to view your upcoming scheduled content, content that you've previously posted, and some very quick, easy insights.
That's great. And we also have a webinar on this, on how to get started, because as they mentioned, it doesn't look the same for everyone. And sometimes it's just your Facebook business manager that shows up. And then you can then click to go to see Business Suite. So it is in evolution stage. And if you want to learn more, we'll make sure we send out that link to all of our webinars so you can find that there. And plan that. Emily, you are the pro when it comes to this platform. So do you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, Plan is absolutely amazing. I've been using it for about 3 years now. A great way for me to manage all accounts that I run. I can easily toggle back and forth between everything that I need to view. It did start out as solely an Instagram managing a platform, but has now branched out for you to schedule and plan your Facebook and LinkedIn content as well. The best part that I love about Plan is if I have a specific idea of how I want my grid to look, I can plan all of my content. I can put in the graphic, the text, move it over to my grid, and click in like where I want everything to go to make sure that in the end, it is creating a visual experience for my audience. And as of last week, Plan has also rolled out the auto post feature, which is huge. So you can plan all of your content and schedule when you want it to go. And then it will also give you a notification on your phone about when your content is posting. With auto posting, it is great because you can post it and then not have to, like, you can schedule it and not have to worry about when it's going out. But I always recommend being available to your audience when they start commenting and when they start engaging with that post. You never want to post and ghost on your content, because if people are starting to engage and starting to comment and ask questions, you need to be there to answer it. So the one thing I do love is them still giving you a notification about when that content is going out.
And that this is just an example of one of mine that I did. The other thing is just a reminder that they also have this really cool feature, right, Em?
Yeah, so they have so just like our content, they have almost content pillar examples, and giving you, especially if you're stuck on what to post, they give you a list of a whole bunch of different business types. So for example, this is showcasing a church and a community group. There's one specific to if you want to throw a contest or a giveaway, if it's for Valentine's Day, post the order of when you have to post it. And another thing too that I also didn't mention prior was you also have the opportunity to save your hashtag groups. And again, I don't always recommend using the same hashtags on every single post. Instagram will take that as spam. But you can have different categories of hashtags that you quite enjoy, and then always switch it out and change it up, but they are saved. So if you wanted to quickly add in a whole bunch, like if you had hashtags that were very specific to your business, if you had ones that you've created, you can easily have those, like put those in with a click of a button.
Now, a question about this, since we were talking about hashtags and all those questions, they have growth tips, they have support. If they discover, like, will they put forward hashtags, like recommended hashtags based on your traffic and engagement?
So in your analytics for Plan, the more you start using it, the more it will start learning what hashtag you're using well. So it will actually tell you which hashtag group is performing the best.
But the group, not the specific one.
The group, not the specific one, correct.
Okay. Okay, interesting. And just a reminder, this is a paid version. You have to make sure that the budget makes sense for you. The free is very limited time. to do it on this, but a good one for sure. So those are just some of the very many planning tools. If there is other ones that we may end up talking about at the end, but it is vast. Just make sure that all those tools make sense for your organization, that they're going to scale with you, that they fit your budget, and then they hit all of the key points that you need to do, from planning to working with whatever channel you decide, to scheduling, and that they help you be more effective. Because as we talked about where it's the target audience and branding, it's that formula. We need to engage with our audience. It's not just about knowing them and giving them content. It's about knowing them so that we can engage and be a continued resource for them, and let the tools help you. And now, how do we know if we are successful? There's methods, metrics, and analysis. And this is key to moving forward. Some guiding questions to help you as you plan this out is, did you reach did you reach your goal? Did you reach your business goal? Did you reach your marketing goal? Did you reach your strategy goal? That at the end of the day, make sure you measure those key milestones to help you stay on track to get to that goal. If your goal is for the end of December, you don't want to wait till December to see if you're on track. How many people received your message? That is your reach. You want to get out there and in front of people. How many people commented or liked? Just as Amanpreet for Facebook and Emily mentioned for Instagram, that commenting and liking, those are all indicators if you're on the right track, if they like what you're posting. How many people shared your content? If they not only liked it, because that's kind of high level, did they actually share it? That means it was good enough for them to share with their network. That is an incredible metric to consider. And actually, how many people bought from you? We didn't touch on the social commerce part of all of this, but not only the website we mentioned for Garden Grows, their product page and everything's on the website, but there's opportunities in both platforms, Instagram and Facebook, to actually purchase things. So it might make sense more so to keep them on board. If Instagram is your key platform, we find that it works for this particular audience, we're going to start to actually try and captivate them and run them through the whole funnel potentially on that platform. If not, are they getting from that platform over to purchasing? So how many people actually bought from you, and make sure those methods to capture that information you have in place. What kind of comments did they get? If they're negative, maybe something's got to happen. Or are you getting 5-star ratings? Where's the traffic coming from? That would refer to your website traffic, which Amanpreet will talk about on Google Analytics. How long did they spend on your content? That could be a blog in that relationship beyond just social media. What was their journey? Can you track that journey to see if they've gone all the way through and you're closing the sale at the end? How much money did you spend? Because if you're spending a lot of money and the return on investment at the end is not making sense, then you have to reevaluate it. So ROAS, we mentioned return on ad spend. There's your whole return on investment. It's all of the time it takes to create your content, to put it together, to actually do the advertising. You have to look at it holistically to make sure it's driving you to success in reaching your goals. And then what ads are working well for you. So we talked a bit about each platform and how to measure those insights. The one we did not talk about is the Google Analytics, and Aman's going to talk about that one.
All right, so Google Analytics. So Google Analytics helps you track and report on your website performance. So super critical for you to measure your success, since your website is your central hub for everyone. Usually. And this helps you shape your strategy for your business because of the metrics that you can track. So you can track the metrics by investigating further into the reports that are available through Google Analytics, such as the ones that we see on the left here. So there are audience reports, acquisition reports, behavior, and conversions. And so some of the things that you can track through Google Analytics include things like demographics of your customers, so their age and their gender, the source of your website traffic. So for instance, does most of your traffic come from social media? Are your customers directly searching for you or through organic searches? You can also see what types of actions the visitors took while they were visiting your website. So what pages your customers landed on. And information like this can ultimately help you optimize your landing pages, and it lets you see which of the pages is maybe doing better at retaining your customers. So this can be seen through things like the average session of an individual, the page sessions, as well as bounce rates. Other things like the interests of the customer, their behavior, so whether they're new or returning, and as well as the frequency and engagement that goes on. So the list in terms of what you can do and track with Google Analytics is super helpful and lengthy. And I do recognize that with everything that you can do on Google Analytics, it could be a lot for you to go in and specifically choose. But you can make this a little bit more digestible for you to analyze and focus on the metrics that you want by creating a dashboard that suits your needs. And what you can also do with this dashboard that you set up is send yourself reports. So you can have this emailed to you whether on a daily basis, a weekly, monthly, or even quarterly basis. You can either set this up yourself or you can get your web developer or whoever it may be to set this up for you. And at the end of the day, you have eyes on the numbers and you have eyes on the reports, and you can have some sort of a sense of what is going on and what is working. And that is super, super critical when it comes to measuring our success. I do want to mention that it is also free, and you do have to install a code on the back end of your web pages. This can either be done by yourself or again through a web developer. We do have a whole webinar on Google Analytics as well, where you can, and we can provide that, and it does get into more details. Another thing worth mentioning lastly is that Google Analytics is not retroactive. So it cannot monitor what it can't track. So you cannot backdate if the tracking code wasn't installed. So definitely if you were considering it, I would make this a priority because you cannot track anything from beforehand, only when it has been installed.
Yes, so we will make sure that we send out that link to in the email, but all of the links to the webinars are there, and it's in the digital, how to write a digital marketing plan link is there too for this. So measuring success, however you want to do that, is your will revolve around what works best for you, what kind of tool that you're going to use. We've included the social media template such as this. You will want to create a tracking page for each channel because you're going to be measuring different things, and then you're going to watch the different trends based on that. For instance, and then after every 6 months. And the funnel over to the side is just a reminder that we're here to move people through that funnel, which is similar to a sales funnel. It's very high level marketing, but you have to build that awareness first. If you're new, like for this Garden Grows company, B2B audience is new. They have to really spend a lot of time building awareness. And that consideration piece is this organization right for me to work with them? Is the product they're giving to me right for me? Like, do I feel like I want to buy the plants from them? Are they going to offer that additional support? Maybe I really like it because they deliver those things that you want to consider and provide the content to help them through that consideration, then help them make the right decision. That can be pricing, availability, whatever that is, and then make it easy for them to buy. So as much as we're on social and it's great and we have all this interaction, we really do want to push them through to help build the business. And that was one of their goals, was for lead generation. You don't necessarily have to devise that as part of your social media. Maybe it is just awareness and engagement. But at the end of the day, we really do want to drive business results. And so making sure it goes all the way through. And then once they become your customer, you want to keep them on. So videos and things like that on engagement is really important. I just realized what time it was. So measuring success is a big one. We've got that taken care of. Now we have some bonus time as we come towards the end. Let's talk about a few extra things beyond what just this Garden Grows company is doing. Influencer marketing is key. You want to take social media to the next level, you might want to think about it, because what that is, it's harnessing the power of social influence in a compelling way that connects authentically through storytelling with brand and product interaction. And so how and why do we do this? Why do we do this? Because 90% of people actually believe recommendations from family and friends or people they know or trust rather than necessarily from the brand themselves. And why we should trust influencers to do something like this, well, this is an interesting stat that I just found out, because 71% of these influencers, they believe that by being honest and authentic, that's how they're going to keep their audience around and engaged. So they're not going to promote something that doesn't work for their audience. So that's where that trust factor builds up. And if you are looking for influencers, you want to make sure that you find someone with a similar audience, that they're just going to propel your story forward, and you want your brand to be authentic. So you want to work with someone else who is authentic, and influencers can help you do that. And if we're talking money, $6.50 for every dollar spent is the stat that this one study showed. So there's your return on investment. And there's different levels of influencers. Many people think it's just celebrities, and that's not the case. For someone like Garden Grows, or if you're just starting your business, think about those nano influencers. That's 1,000 to 10,000 followers they have on their account. Why do we think they're important? Because they're close to their community. They're probably more authentic and trustworthy because they feel more natural, like their friends or family. They are relevant to your brands, and they will be loyal to those brands that they love. And when you're just starting out, quite often, they just want product in exchange for promoting something. So it can be quite cost effective. And it's a way to reach new audiences. So if this is a business to business and you, like Garden Grows, and you find someone who's talking about plants in the workplace, it's like, hey, maybe you could promote that. There is a whole way to do influencer marketing, but I just wanted to touch on that today for something to consider. And some of those other social media tactics that we didn't have time, but in this bonus section, you get it, are TikTok and Pinterest. Emily, do you want to speak to those getting
Yes.
started?
So TikTok is on the rise. It's absolutely amazing. It is one of like the new platforms. TikTok is one of the only social media platforms that is currently growing content organically with very, very minimal paid ads. The effect of these videos is amazing. So the snowball effect is so much faster than a lot of other platforms, and most of the content that does do well and the businesses that are promoting their products is solely based on user generated content, which you don't find a lot of other places. And then it is definitely a social media platform that targets the Gen Z and millennial generation, but they are on the rise. Going into Pinterest. So Pinterest is both a search engine platform, but also that very often. And then your content that you publish on social media, as opposed to Facebook and Instagram, where the life cycle of your content is very short. On Pinterest, your content averages about 2 years of a cycle, which is outstanding. As long as your content is reusable and can keep generating those views for 2 years, then that's crazy. It is also a super easy platform to manage and super easy to interact with other groups.
Thanks, Emily. YouTube, there's another big one. And similar to Pinterest, it's more of a search engine than considered to be social media. However, there is comments and engagement. And it is an important platform, but it takes a lot of dedication to creating content. YouTube does want you to frequently update. That helps with the algorithm. And it takes some resources, the time to plan the script, the time to think through what kind of content you're going to do, the time to actually do it, and the time to post it. So just take that into consideration, but video is continuing to build in popularity. The other value of doing YouTube, if we're doing educational things or whatever that is, you can also take that, embed it onto your website, which helps with search engine optimization and to help with cross promotion. If you do decide YouTube is part of your strategy or video is part of your strategy, maybe the longer form goes up on YouTube and you start to repurpose it out to your social media. However that is, YouTube is continuing to develop. During COVID especially, a lot of people have gone even more so on the platform, and videos, it's the way it's evolving. Some of the development that YouTube is coming out with are video shorts, shorter pieces of content. They're also planning to do more streaming and playback functions to compete against Netflix. They're also more going to expand their video e-commerce features. And then the other thing too is applause tipping. We have a few entertainment people in here on the call as well. And if that is something that works for you, not for profit, we talked about that in our not for profit session too. There's a lot of support through YouTube. That may be a channel that works for you. And if you are targeting younger people in the educational world, they are continuously developing the parental rules. So there's a lot of reasons to do on YouTube. The thing is to remember it's frequency, it's quality, and YouTube, much like Instagram, wants you to stay on the channel. So if you make sure you have your hook, your script, and your call to action, if you don't have time to promote your own organic content to keep them on YouTube, there is some talk about if you promote to a channel that you could recommend just to keep things on. YouTube does like that as well. So there are a lot of reasons to consider YouTube. And then beyond marketing, there are some tips that Amin's going to bring forward.
Yeah, so I really liked what Emily said. Don't post and ghost. So this goes beyond your marketing. And some of the things that I wanted to touch for customer service would be to respond in a timely fashion. So if you don't do this, you leave up sort of like a build-up for people to respond, especially if it's negative. And the expectation around this is what I've found is to be about 60 minutes to receive a response. And you can, however, mitigate some of these maybe more negative responses online by taking the public conversations private, which ties into number 2, which would be having a social media customer service policy. So ensuring that yourself and the employees are on the same page when it comes to addressing customers, and the way that everyone is handled is in a particular and the same manner. So this goes back to knowing your target audience and what they want, and looking into what some of the common complaints are about. And then lastly, I wanted to mention here is be responsive. So listen attentively, because a poor response or a lack of does affect your brand negatively. And it's not just the individual that sees, it's all of your customers that are looking and actually looking forward to your response. And also a no response means a poor response. So even if it's responding to something positive, a simple thank you or an emoji or anything goes a long way, and it shows that your brand is listening and that it's receptive. And this is a point that we want to convey, is that your brand is actually active on social media and they are being responsive. And this ties into having chats and DMs and just setting up that expectation. So chats are efficient way to address customer concerns. They're immediate, so customers don't have to wait. But do set up the expectations. Maybe leverage the automated responses and make sure that they are to the point and succinct.
Excellent. And we could go on forever when it comes to bonuses, but this is definitely some additions to consider. And all of us, even when we're thinking strategically, is we have to be looking for what's going on and making sure that we have the right mix continuously that works for our business. And so that brings us to that formula again. audience. Make sure that you know your audience, you're engaging with them, you're on the platform where they are, and you can provide value for them. And you are being a resource, but also getting them to be happy clients. Building that consistent brand, your audience works with your brand, and there's a consistent voice, there's a visual effect that goes across, and that you are integrated across all of your platforms. And that doesn't mean you need to have exactly the same cover photo or the same images or the same posts, and please don't do all the same posts across all the platform, but the voice, the branding has to resonate with who you are and who you are serving for the audience. And you need to be strategic. Every time you do something, you need to know why you're doing it, and it needs to make sense for your business. And that means great social media. And it's a journey, it's a continuing learning process to be able to take that social media to the next level. And that brings us to those key takeaways. Make sure you are clear with your brand story. Know it, the who, what, why, when, and how. Have a plan. Use those tools. Make sure you get the resources. You cannot scale your business on your own. Digital marketing, social media takes a lot of time. Please look for ways to get help as you grow your business. And it's better to do fewer things and do it well. So make sure you're an expert on each platform. If you've decided and Garden Grow says, oh, I'm limited, I can only do one platform, they have to evaluate that, and maybe they decide that it's just going to be Instagram. You need to do it well and do fewer if that's what it takes. Know your audience, continue to know your audience, and evolve based on the situation as they evolve. Build trust, tell a story that is memorable, and share quality, consistent, relevant information. And we talked about video across the board, whether it's live or recorded on all these platforms, they make sense. And then start with organic, supplement it with paid, and make sure you target the audiences specific to their needs. And there are ways, email marketing, social media, whatever that takes, to make sure that you can hone in on the different audiences. So for this company, right, they have a B2C and a B2B audience. They want to make sure that they segment it. It's not going to make sense if you show a picture of someone in their home garden and you're targeting plants in the workplace. So make sure that you have that plan in place to do that, and make sure it's personalized as possible. And that is Social Media 201. And thanks everyone for joining us. And before you go, we just want to remind everyone to hopefully follow us on Instagram, our new platform. And you can find it mississauga.ca/mbec. It goes over to the Futures Unlimited. If you scroll down, you see all of our social media, or we're at instagram.com/mississaugaedo. And we have a bit of a request here, don't we, Amanpreet?
Yep. So, So in an effort to continue the conversation online, help us find you and find each other by using the hashtag #SaugaBusiness. So let us know your thoughts on today's webinar and use this as a form of networking as well. And also, in continuing the conversation online, you can actually comment on our most recent post on Instagram, and feel free to share your business handles and network there as well. So do you perhaps offer a specific expertise, or are you looking for assistance? Take a look at the comment section to see what you can find, and please do feel free to share what you can.
And that is important, because we have a lot of people on the call that, similar to Emily, who are experts in their field, social media, graphic designers. Sometimes we have students that are willing to put time out there, and they're graphic designers or they're social media people, and they just want to help. Leverage social media, leverage our posts from today, as Amanpreet mentioned, and drop it in and create that conversation and continue it from today. So we hope you found some tips and tricks and some opportunities and insights to take your social media to the next level. And that is it. Thank you, Amanpreet and Emily, for all those insights. And we're going to take some questions and answers now. I know we're at time, but we started late. So we appreciate anyone who wants to stick around. I'm going to stop sharing. And then I will have a chance a little bit easier to see the chat. It's hard.
Well, before we go into any of the questions, back to the hashtag resources. So there are two websites that I use for hashtags to are currently performing the best. The first site that I use is called Display Purposes, and then the second one is Hashtag Generator. Now, both of these websites, if you type in a certain hashtag or a certain keyword, it will give you similar hashtags that people are using, and it'll also tell you exactly how many people are using that hashtag. The hashtag that it will provide you will either be red, that the amount of people that are using it, like there's a lot of people. Green is pretty good. It kind of fits in the middle, and then yellow is very, very small to the people in regards to people not using it at all.
Good. We had quite a few people asking about that because hashtags, we know, does that generate organic traffic? I think that was one of the questions. Like,
Does hashtags generate organic traffic? Yes. Hashtags are a great way to build up that traffic. Hashtags essentially are a way for people to see your content and to hopefully engage with your content and then eventually follow your page. It will also tell you in your insights too on each post how much traffic is being driven from hashtags to your content, to your views and your insights. It won't tell you specifically which hashtag it is, but it'll tell you how much traffic is actually being driven from hashtags on that post.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I know for me, even personally, I go out and I follow key hashtags and like to find the organizations
Oh yeah.
doing
Half of
that.
my following is hashtags.
It's it's
I want
massive,
to I want to meet new people.
but so saying that though, is that you know, and that you mentioned those websites, but you have mentioned previously that really going into the platform and looking yourself takes time, but is sometimes the most effective. Is that true? Can you
That is the
expand on that?
most effective.
Yeah.
You actually spend time on the app and you're figuring things out. So that involves searching hashtags yourself, um, looking at your target audience and interests that they're in, maybe looking at your competition and what hashtags they're using. That is where you're going to get the best. These other websites, they're a great start. And it's a great way to kind of get you off of the ground and kind of figure out what to look for. But yeah, the best place is to look inside the app.
Okay. Um, Someone was asking the difference between Plan and Hootsuite. I'll speak to that a little bit. You guys chime in if I miss anything. Hootsuite's been around a long time. I know I used it in beta way back, and it was one of the first scheduling tools where you could do it. It really was effective with Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. They started to bring in Pinterest. They brought in Instagram, but Instagram wasn't sharing their auto scheduler until right a week ago, you mentioned. And they had their insights, they have their own insights and things. So it was one of the originators. Plan is kind of a new person to the table and it focused on Instagram, but now has added in those other ones. So it's one of those things that you have to go in, try the freemium and see what works best for you. Usually when it starts out with a certain platform is where its strength will be. So if Instagram is your strength, I would say start first with Plan That and evaluate it. Amazing stuff on there that you do not get on Hootsuite. Now, you can, I don't plan that. Emily, I believe we can have multiple people. Preet, you and I do this, and multiple people on there. You do have to pay every time someone does it. So there's those criteria you have to evaluate. Does it make sense for the platform? Does it give you the information? Does it allow you to manage it? And does it allow you to scale with your team and pick one or the other? At the end of the day, I would say go in and try them both and see what works best for you. So.
Yeah, there are
I
a
think
lot of scheduling platforms, and you do have to go and you have to try the freemium. It's not just Hootsuite and it's not just Planlet. Like there are other ones like Sprout Social and Later. You have to go in and you have to figure out what works for you. I'm a very visual person, and Plan That is a very visual platform. And there are some key features in Plan that Hootsuite don't have. Like for example, Plan That allows you to schedule your and plan out your stories. in advance as well, which is a really cool key feature. So there are some features that one might have, one might not have. You just have to figure out what works for you.
Anything else, Preet, that you've noticed?
And I was gonna say there's not really like, because we did show Hootsuite and Plan That, but again, as Emily and Laura mentioned, those aren't the only answers. I know Canva, people have questions about that too because they have their own content planner. But again, you have to go in and try it out and see if it works for yourself. There are limitations in terms of where you can post using Canva. So we found, for instance, by evaluating that, it wasn't something that was suited for us. So again, new platforms, new applications will come out, but you just have to do trial and error to figure it out.
And it's time consuming going. And so I would say really think twice about jumping to another platform because you have to take that time to learn it. And there is not a perfect platform out there. And there's no one platform that does it all. It just doesn't happen. I know there's many CRMs, customer relationship management tools that are more sales focused that try and add a layer of marketing on. They usually do a really bad job. The best thing is when there's an API where they can connect best of breeds to a solution. But you do have to go through the process of doing it. No one can really do it for you.
Yeah, and you can use multiple. Like if you really want to, you don't have to stick with one platform. I use three. So I I use PlanNet to schedule my Instagram, my Facebook, and my LinkedIn. But prior to a week ago, when PlanNet didn't have the auto post, I was between PlanNet, Facebook Business Suite to plan out and schedule all of my content, plus managing all of my incoming messages. And then I was also using Canva to plan my Pinterest content. I found Canva content calendar very effective.
There is, someone did ask if they need an Instagram profile to advertise on Facebook. No, but you need a Facebook to advertise on Instagram. Did I get that right? Okay, so that's the key thing to remember there.
I always recommend for Instagram too, if you haven't switched over to a business profile, you should do that as soon as possible. You get a few more insights as a business profile or a creator profile. And then it's better to do it now because the sooner you do, the sooner you'll be able to start building up those insights and those.
Okay, I may have missed, there's quite a few questions that are more technical. There's quite a few website related questions when it comes to keywords and things like that. Is another whole nother webinar that we will do potentially at another time. We're always looking for new topics. Someone mentioned to focus on influencer marketing. We've had people specifically talk about going through a target audience session. If there is something that you are interested in, when I send out the survey, the feedback, please let us know. Drop it in the comments, and we are always looking to see what works best for you. I did not spend too much time on LinkedIn. We have a whole session, a webinar recorded on LinkedIn, talking about setting up your professional profile as well as your company page. The one thing with LinkedIn that is relatively new is the company tab where they will recommend content, and then their advocacy program to really get your employees involved. But for many people who are on the call today, you are just starting out. So you're probably a team of one. So the most important thing is getting your company page up and then your profile. And that webinar is there to look and how to do that. And then also we will send out again that link to our webinar rather than sending out individual links of all of our webinars that support today's content. Just go in and see our digital marketing, how to write a digital marketing plan, which takes this business scenario that we talked through, Garden Grows, which was kind of fun. But a reminder, as the three of us went through this exercise, it's a lot of work. Do what you can. So just remember, if you're one person, do what you can. We at MBEC are here to support you. You can absolutely reach out to us just go to the contact. You all have my email. You can reach out to me directly if you want. If you're a Mississauga business and you want digital marketing consultation support, we are here as well. And Amanpreet is part of our full-time team. And then Emily, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to still run through a few more questions. Anything
Absolutely.
else you want to add that you may have missed?
Yeah, actually, now that I was just thinking about it, speaking of new features, I know with Instagram, with Facebook, anytime a new feature comes out, use it. Instagram and Facebook are people actually interacting with the platform. So Reels just came out, so it's very new. So now start interacting with it, start using it, start playing around with it. The more that you play around with those new features, Instagram and Facebook will know that you are the type of person to create content using those new features. So when new things come out again, they only give it out to a select few to make sure everything's working, then slowly roll out to everybody else. So if they know that you use new features, you will be on the hot list, get the new features. It also looks really good to know that you are you're active and you're using features.
Yes. And that is interesting, Emily, because that made me think of where do we find beyond just that? Where do we find to stay current? Like, do you have a favorite? Someone was asking about a book that they could read more about, or is there a
actually.
website?
So I have a book. I know we didn't touch too much on it, but it's called Influencer by Brittany Hennessy. Especially if you wanted to get more into like influencer marketing and kind of just learning how the algorithm works on Instagram. If you want to become an influencer, if you want to hire an influencer or anything like that, it's a really great book. It's also an audiobook. I actually love the audiobook so much that I bought the physical book. But she gets to the point, and that writes the book is a influencer manager, and she manages an agency. So she really goes into what it takes to make it on Instagram. There is also another website called Social Media Today, and they put out new articles every single week. It's a really good way to stay up to date on news, trends, anything like that. Another really good trick to do is follow somebody who is always talking about trends. I have a few accounts that I follow that they're always talking about new things that are coming out, certain trends, and they're always certain video trends. And like, okay, cool. Well, they're doing it. Other people might be doing it, and you kind of just, it's not so much about as reading up on everything, but just being very observant. Like for example, some trends that are coming out, videos are all the rage. User-generated content is a huge trend that is snowballing and is building up because people want to see organic stuff. People sometimes are getting annoyed with ads, so they want to see people that they follow and that they trust.
Yes.
Influencer.
Yes, and so someone did ask about, yeah, we should do a whole session on influencer marketing. There's so much to talk about. We could just do this full time. So as far as I don't have a book yet on that I have found that I for social media, but there are a few websites that I go to all the time. And one is Social Media Today, and the other is Social Media Examiner. And the Top Rank blog is really good too. Brand Watch is good. Do you guys have any favorites?
There's another favorite. Influencer Marketing News is a good one. And Overload has a lot of really good ones, especially on social media and e-commerce.
Overload does.
I just find it funny, Emily, that you suggest to follow someone who's talking about the trends, so they are an influencer to you, right? And you are taking advantage of that user-generated content. So it comes full circle.
Absolutely. I'm not a specialist in everything, so I follow people and engage with people that know some things that I vice versa. It's actually kind of cool.
And that speaks to an incredible point just from putting my business hat on, right? As usual, unless we do this to drive business, we cannot be experts in everything. And it's really important, though, to know what we do, we're good at, and to do it well, and surround us with those people that can support us in our journey. And when it comes to digital marketing, I've been doing this a long time, and like really too long of a time, I think. And then, but I realize now as digital marketing has evolved, I can't do it all myself. And my forte is strategy, right? My forte is that communications, and I have a full understanding of a lot of things, but I don't do it well. So when it comes to video, no, I will hire someone. Unless it's like small social. When it comes to graphic design and Instagram, that's Emily. User experience, that is Preet, target audience and stuff like that. That's why the three of us together today are able to offer all of that. And that's what you need to think. Bring in those team members to help supplement so that you can provide your clients the best experience possible. And if you can't have an ongoing team, that's okay. You might decide to hire, in my past life, that's what I did, consultations. Maybe you bring in a strategist once or twice a week to help you build out your plan and you execute. Or you have just-in-time content, you know it all, but you need help writing or you need help with video. There's places like Upworks, Fiverr, all of those freelancer boards that they're really specialized. You could purchase things for them specifically just to supplement because you don't have time to do it. There's colleges that have programs, right? And Preet, you know all about that, and where they're looking for portfolio work. They want to not necessarily volunteer, but their price might not be the same as someone who has been doing it a really long time, and they have fresh insights. So that's another place to look for support. Did I miss any that you guys might suggest on that? Yeah.
Podcasts are a great resource.
Podcasts for learning and connecting. And that's something
It's
we didn't
free.
talk about here today, right?
Yeah.
You can't do it all. Figure out what you can do and do it well. And if podcasts, maybe you do a video on YouTube and you strip it out and the audio is your podcast. So you have to think outside the box when it comes to doing content.
Yeah, honestly, listening to podcasts is what got me started in this industry.
Mhm.
Learned a lot from just listening to other people, and I still do. I even still listen to people on topics that I already know, um, just as like a refresher. And sometimes it's nice to hear somebody else's voice talk about it. Um, Somebody asked which podcast. Jenna Kutcher is a great person to listen to. She's super motivational. Trying to think of another one that I listen to. Any podcast?
I know I've taken some marketing school. It's digital marketing and online marketing. So they talk about a bunch of different topics and everything. And for me personally, in the whole UX world, I listen to Honest UX Talks, and so they talk about all the industry trends and everything going on with UX in itself, which is applicable to every industry.
And we talk about digital because this is our world. But for you guys who are entrepreneurs who are still on here, if you are looking to hire someone, there are so many digital marketing experts and social media experts. What has happened in our world is people have become very niche and in their specialty. So, for instance, you, Emily, are focused on sustainability, health and wellness, and you look for those clients that you understand their messaging, their style. You're able to even connect potentially with that. You can add that extra value. Doesn't mean that you can't do other things, but it's you're become quite specialized and good in that world. You may find there's audiences out there if you're in the automotive world or you're in super high tech world. You might find look for digital marketing experts that have experience experience in that technical writing, that have connections on network. They know the hashtags are working. Those are the ones that are going to be able to help you propel your social media and content strategies forward.
I would also encourage, I guess, people at the same time. So just like Emily is looking for clients, perhaps clients are also looking for other people too. So, you know, just you can kind of start that conversation just by asking them what they offer, what they specialize in. On the other end, make sure like your bio, your profile is straight into the point, what you specialize in. So in that way, it can work twofold. So.
Yes. So LinkedIn, make sure everyone has their professional profiles connected. You guys who want to stay, we'll send this out too, but look for us on LinkedIn. Connect with us, and make sure that your profiles are searchable. That summary is up there. If you are providing services to entrepreneurs and you're in the digital marketing world, make sure you have those keywords in there. And if you are looking for content people to do something, that might be a place to look. LinkedIn, do some graphic design. I want social media. It's another avenue to search for people. So I think we are past time. And I appreciate everyone for staying and coming on, and sorry for any of those link drops that we had, but it's been a real pleasure talking with you guys. Thanks, Amanpreet and Emily, and on a very amazing topic, social media, taking it to the next level. And we look forward to seeing everyone again for our next one. So have a great day. Oh, Emily, can you just post in here? We'll just post in
Yes.
our, maybe we'll post in our LinkedIn's and your LinkedIn profiles. And just a reminder to go on Instagram. Please, everyone.
Yes, follow me on
check out our
Instagram.
Instagram. Follow our Instagram. Post on our comments. All right, here we go. There we go. And almonds is yours in there?
Should be.
Oh, the okay, here someone asked for the Instagram handle. You got it. I will drop it in so you guys can click on it right now. Here we go. Excellent. All right, what a day. Enjoy the sunshine if you have it there, and I will look forward to chatting to you guys later. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Emily.